I smelled Red Michelle Birdsong, daughter of the sun, Eve, mother of all living. This is part 4, and this part is called Eve Says Will Smith and Robin Michelle Birdsong Match. It says, Eve says, being as herself, Robin Michelle Birdsong wrote with her mother, Mildred Michelle Birdsong, a children's moral tale in a storybook called Sneezy the Greasy Babysits Abigail. Her mother, Mildred Michelle Birdsong, being in a parallel life as storyteller Hans Christian Andersen, and being in a parallel life as Pran Kumar Sharma, a cartoonist who created characters. He was called the Walt Disney of India. Okay, characters he created. Cha-Cha Chaudhary, 1971. He also created a character, Srimataja, Pinky, Billu Raman, and Chennai Cha-Cha. As herself, Mildred Michelle Birdsong Spear wrote a pop lullaby in which she created the character Jenny Blue Eyes. The full name of the lullaby is Jenny Blue Eyes Meets a Friend. The vocals are done by Melanie L. Spear, Mildred Michelle Birdsong's daughter. Her younger, and Robin Michelle's younger sister. The mother, Melanie L. Spear, is the mother of 4 saints. And in the Garden of Eden, Melanie L. Spear was Awan, Adam and Eve's firstborn girl child, who grew to become Cain's wife. Just as Eve was falsely accused of the sins of Lilith and Adam, anal, oral sex, masturbation, contraception, Cain has been falsely accused of killing his innocent brother, Abel. Okay, sins decoded. S for S-T-O-L-E-S. S for stolen. I for pleasure. N for nasty. S for sex. Stolen pleasure, nasty sex between Lilith and Adam. Anal, oral sex, masturbation, contraception, withdrawal. Okay, so, Abel did not want to move from the stage of sucking his mother's teat, though he was supposed needing to suck teat. Cigarette smoking is done by people who never advanced from the sucking stage or sucker stage. Abel was hurting his mother's nipples, and Cain noticed. He hated to see his brother causing his mother pain unnecessarily. One day Cain could bear watching his mother wincing no longer, wincing in pain as Abel sucked. So Cain snatched Abel from their mother's chest to stop him from hurting her. Abel fell hard to the ground, cracking his skull on a rock, bleeding to death. Okay, so we got, that's Awan and Cain and Captain Devin Gangadine and Abel Michael Phelps, being as Michael Phelps now. Okay. So Eve blamed herself for not forcing Abel to stop at the stage of sucking teat. And the world blamed her for all the sins in the garden, for sins that Adam and his first wife Lilith committed. Adam being as Michael Bublé, Lilith being as his first wife and current wife, Lusana Lopalan. Eve met up with Abel many, many years later when she was being as a child of 10 years. And he was being as a teenager lifeguard at Edith Pettis Park Pool in Clarksville, Tennessee, where she'd go to float in the water. One day, Eve was swimming, being as minnow, with her head underwater across the pool. She had never mastered swimming with her head above water. As she moved her arms in the water, she became tired. She saw no reason to carry on, so she stopped swimming and floated, waiting to drown. Drown decoded, DR for Dr. Freud, OW for hurt, enters. And then self, enters self. The next thing that happened was Minnow felt herself being pulled up and out of the water. She could breathe again. William Earl Dixon, the lifeguard who was able, had saved her. Esther stopped AVE Avenue to END and Avenue to death. END, end your energy. That's what death is. William Earl has being as Abel, my son. William Earl Abel killed himself a few years later in that same park in his car. He died of suffocation, inhaling carbon dioxide gas, just as I would have suffocated in the water had he not saved me, just as I could find no reason to go on living. He, my son, copying me, could find no reason to go on living. My mother killed herself slowly. She died at 54. The surgeon said her organ, her liver, looked like that of a 70-year-old. My mother drank alcohol every night when she came home from her grueling job operating a machine that pressed men's shirts. And my mother chain smoked Pall Mall cigarettes. She wanted to die. She never let on, but she had been in pain for 5 years. My other father, now being as sing birdsong, was fine with dying. He said God told him he could live to be 70. He died at 71, content to die because it was the will of God's. His wife, who had not been sick, now being as Robin Birdsong, became ill and died with a smile on her face 6 months later. Both Andoni and Brother Wright believed that if you were good, go to church, obey the 10 Commandments, and do what it says in the Bible, you'd die and go to heaven. And when Judgment Day came, you'd meet up with your good relatives in heaven. Andoni lost her will to live because her joy in life, her husband, her reason was no longer alive. A for alive. A mother. A will. I vibrate energy. Cancer. C, a North Carolina enemy of her. Heaven, is that heaven? No, that's helpless Eve. Mother, helpless mother Eve. Okay, so that's what happened in North Carolina. So Songy's ganged up on me because I looked poor. I had been homeless. Pran Kumar Sharma. P for people ran, killed, you ma, Radhaswamy Satangi, harm, ma, Angel Michelle. Okay, that's what happened in North Carolina. Great panache, similar to flamboyant confidence, historical, a tuft or plume of, this is a definition, of feathers, especially as a headdress or on a helmet. Style definition in fields of fashion, hairdressing, biology. I gave Edwin Birdsong a hairdressing style that became the fashion for many black people all over the world when I plaited his hair. Noun for style, a manner of doing something. Different styles of management, similar manner, way. Edwin said, everything's been done except the way you do it. Everything. E for Eve, R for her, I for I, THE for the, HING for Indian spice. You, Eve, her, I, the Indian spice. The Indian spice, she was Guru Nanak and she was Tulsi Sahib. Do it. I for pleasure, T for thing, pleasure thing, I thing. IT for it, H for heaven. I for pleasure, personal pleasure. N for enter, G for good goals. It, heaven, is pleasure, personal, enter, good goals.